Greetings and bienvenue, midnight crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
I want to hear stories about paranormal stuff from military guys during deployment or training.
2013 Logar Province, Afghanistan. Night op supporting recovery of an IED-disabled vehicle. I'm gunning. Kind of loopy from lack of sleep and rip-its. Yapping about bullshit, probably to myself on internal comms. Scanning my sector with NVGs. I had a thermal optic in hand. We had dismounts out mixed in scattered collets and property walls. I looked to my 8 to check for friendly dismounts from other vehicles. Notice one is off the corner of a collat wall about 20 meters. Figure I'd fuck with him with my infrared laser. Just as I'm about to turn it on, I see some distortion in the shadows of the collat's walls. About 15 ms inwards. WTF? Green shit fucking up depth perception. Figure it's just the optic. Adjust focus. Nope, there's movement. Looks like a dog moving along the wall. Watch it for a second while it skirts the wall towards a friendly position. Pretty healthy mutt. Most are half-starved. Figure I'd give friendly heads up. Radio out to let him know. About this time I see a laser mark. Other gunners see it too. I laze it for shits and gigs. Compare friendly's height to the wall. Realize it's at least 8 feet. Damn dog is damn near half the height. Start freaking a bit. About this time a third laser marks the animal. Radio chatter of man-beast starts. CO tells us to knock off the BS. Friendly on ground confirms he sees the large animal. Has to be the size of an Afghan cow. Moves like a dog. Built like a wolf. Animal stops by a cutout in the wall. Steps up into it. No way in hell it's a dog. Team confirms it's WTF. Dismount has been noped out of the area. Animal lingers. Then hops down and quickly dips around the corner. Whole team was baffled. That and the semi-common disappearing headlights phenomena.
B in Iraq 04. B31 Weapons Co. I was carrying a 240 Bravo. It's a large gun, and people who carry it are known as gunners. Often phrases will be made like, "Do you even gun, bro?" and "I gun mad hard." The point behind this is that you are carrying a big-ass fucking gun that can throw a lot of lead downrange very quickly. It's almost impossible to feel scared while carrying this beast because of its pure lethality and the fact that it can put 20 rounds in someone before they even see you. Let me tell you about the only time I ever got scared in the Marine Corps, while carrying the biggest gun. I guess I should start off by saying that Iraq is a weird country. Anyone who's been there can attest to that. There are a million things that work differently than in our comfortable first world countries, and some of those things can be terrifying. The way they shit, for example. The moment I arrived in Fallujah, the first thing I noticed was the smell. Large trenches 3 feet wide and stretching the length of the entire road were filled to the brim with shit. Very different indeed. It was day 1 of Operation Phantom Fury, and my fireteam was tasked with clearing the far left column of the city, and it was known for being heavily occupied with mujahideen and other foreign fighters, and included a shopping mall that a platoon element would clear. We cleared the first 2 houses easily, no occupants. The third building was the shopping mall. It was nothing spectacular. It was like any other shopping mall except for the Arabic lettering and portrait of Saddam in the center. The point man shot the glass door open because he couldn't kick the lock out, and we were in. Lance Corporal Hicks, take your fireteam and clear the bottom level. I, Sergeant Quinn, my Lance coolie said back. The doors to the basement were padlocked, and they were wide double doors made of thick metal. A saw to the lock, and we opened the door. That was the first time I ever smelled death. Pure blackness greeted us. Torches on, Lance Corporal Hicks says as we switch on our flashlights. Inon, keep that gun up and finger on the trigger. I don't give a shit about trigger discipline right now. Senior Lance, I said. We went down the stairs, guns up and pumped up to shoot some motherfuckers like we all were waiting to do. About 15 steps later we hit the bottom floor, and I immediately hear the sound of running footsteps to my left. Left side. I scream as everyone levels their weapons into the now illuminated basement. Nothing. Literally nothing. The footsteps stopped and we maneuvered our way left. The power had been knocked out days beforehand, but our flashlights did a decent job of illuminating the area. It was a large area devoid of everything except a desk with a laptop with papers strewn about on it and a closed door on the right wall. The laptop and papers are considered not to be fucked with by infantry, so Lance Corporal Hicks called out to our private fresh out of SOI West. Private Fitch, go grab that 18 Foxtrot upstairs and tell him to come down here. Lance Corporal, he says and goes up to retrieve the Special Forces soldier in charge of intel gathering. As we wait for our SF Intel Sergeant, Special Forces Intelligence Sergeant, we go over to the door and stack up. Lance Corporal Hicks as our point man. He motions for a bang and clear, so he kicks the door in and I throw it in there. Boof *, we enter the doorway and are met with the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. Very quickly I see a figure run in front of me with no goddamn head. Everyone else had seen him too, because we all lit everything the fuck up as soon as we saw it. Everyone else had used maybe a half mag, but I was 50 rounds deep. It was serious now. I move swiftly towards the right side of the room, while my teammates take the left. Right side clear. I shout. Left side clear. They shout. Closed doorway front. I shout. There's no goddamn body. No fucking body. We stack up on the closed door, and I'm not taking any fucking chances. Gonna throw a frag, I yell. Lance Corporal Hicks hands me a frag and knocks the door open. I frag it and wait for the boom. The explosion occurs, and I see the craziest shit. There's dead bodies everywhere, and the frag only helped aid to the chaos. Hunks of human flesh pinned to S-hooks in the ceiling and several decapitated corpses lying in a pile in the right corner. No more doorways, this was the end of the hellish maze. There was a single body crouched in the corner that we all thought my frag had killed. He was crouched in the fetal position and his body was laden with shrapnel. There were weird symbols all over the walls that the SF Intel Sergeant confirmed as an Iraqi cult that perpetrated mass murders all around Iraq that rarely got any attention outside the SF community. This shit still bothers me, and is the only reason I'm convinced that there is some supernatural shit going on in this world. I'm sorry if this sounds awkward, I'm a Mando and don't really browse X that much. TL. DRI killed an Iraqi cult member sitting in a room filled with dead human meat with a frag shortly after my fireteam and I dumped 100 rounds into a headless ghost.
My buddy was deployed in Afghanistan in 2007 at FOB Wilson as part of our artillery regiment. He sometimes will talk about the only time he watched men from his regiment fire directly on an enemy. Apparently 2 locals shambled up to the walls surrounding the FOB and began tearing apart and devouring a dog laying dead outside the compound. According to him, they were yelled at, screamed at, to leave the perimeter, but didn't seem to even hear the men on the wall around the compound. They tore the dog apart and ate it raw directly in front of the wall. Then, according to my friend, 3 men went out to try and dissuade these individuals from continuing their feast. The man in charge attempted to communicate with the individuals eating the dog in Pidgin Arabic, but was promptly assaulted and pushed down by the offending individuals. Then, they were torn apart by fire from the 2 guys with him as well as C9 fire from the walls. I dunno what happened, but I always said, must have been zombies. No idea what really happened.
Not military, but some freaky shit that happened while I was out camping. Went for an evening hike through this valley. Now, being in the Rocky Mountains, there's a lot of beautiful looking places when the sun starts to set. This valley was not one of those beautiful places. No, it wasn't beautiful, it was fucking magical. So, being rather mesmerized by the scenery, I outstayed my welcome and Mother Nature got all dark on me and I had to return to the campsite in the dark. Not a great spot to be in, but I was carrying the AK and had a flashlight and chem lights and what have you. I avoid using illumination to keep my night vision good, so I couldn't see much outside of the shapes around me. So, I'm about halfway back to the camp when I smell something unnerving. It was one of those smells that makes you go into fight or flight, and the worst part was it was a smell I recognized, the smell of death. Problem was, there hadn't been any carcasses when I came in the same way, so this was new and alarming. I looked all around but couldn't find a damn thing, so I finally broke down and busted out the flashlight. And when I turned it on I went from slightly worried to horrified. There was no carcass nearby, but the source of the smell was obvious. Something hadn't died nearby, it had died everywhere. I've never seen so much blood and organs strewn about in such a manner. There was just a massive stain. You couldn't see the red or anything since it had soaked into the dirt, but it was just an obvious coagulated wetness everywhere. There was some sort of pile sitting under a tree. I didn't get a good look at exactly what it was. And the part that got my immediate attention and remember in the greatest detail was a strand of intestine dangling down from a nearby branch just slightly swaying. I kept that light on the rest of the way back to camp and had my rifle shouldered the whole way. I'm surprised I didn't shoot random trees for looking suspicious.
This is not paranormal, but we had a fight with a wildcat in Djibouti. We had a small camp of 15 men a little off the main road leading out of Djibouti city but still out in the boonies. Daily life was like a usual camp with a field kitchen. So this huge wildcat kept sneaking into the camp and pissing on our tents to mark its territory. Also, it was going through our kitchen area in the dead of night. This cat was annoying, so one of the guys set a box trap. As soon as the cat entered the box for the bait, the lid would shut and the cat would be trapped. Sounds simple enough, but what happened next was an epic fight for survival. The cat came at night per usual and our force pro on the night shift was waiting for night vision and all. The wild cat falls for a trap and one of the force pro guys was finally going to kill it. Here he was in shorts, no shirt, night vision goggles and a giant knife. It was murder time. He approaches the box, the cat screaming like an alien. He goes to open the box while raising the knife to it. Suddenly the cat through pure force breaks out of the wooden box and launches itself right at Rambo Badass. He screams, drops the knife and goes running back into the camp. The force it took to break out of that box was almost supernatural. That cat, sensing its near death, broke out of a heavy wooden box. After that night we all just kind of gave up and this cat continued to terrorize the camp.
Part 1. In 1975, the South Vietnamese president and many generals took all their money and fled to France. All the troops knew that they had been deceived by the politicians and gave up fighting and fled back to their homes. My father was in the jungles Nha Trang at that moment and knew that the war was lost. He assembled his men one last time to warn them of what to come. Burn all your uniforms, insignias, pictures, anything you have that may identify you as South Vietnamese soldiers. Blend in with the fleeing refugees. Not all of his men came from Saigon, so they split up and fled separately. Only one kid who considered my father his Su Fu, or master, came along with him to head to Saigon. During the third night of their escape, they came upon a small friendly South Vietnamese JROTC army camp in the dead of night in the middle of the jungle. It was the Junior Officer Reserve Training Corps with their trademarked red berets. There were a few watchers awake and everyone else was lying on the ground around the campfire apparently sleeping. The kid officer there, barely looked 17, asked for their ammo, weapons, food, anything they can use to continue the fight. The kid also asked my father to remain and help them fight in their eternal struggle*. Despite my father's best efforts to dissuade them from throwing their life away, they said to him, "It is already too late." The seriousness of these words is lost in translation. Part 2. The kid rebuffed my father and called him a coward and cursed him to be totally crushed. No bones left for your children to weep over. May the spirits of your dead comrades and people curse you and no longer offer you their protecting in the dark. My father gave up, gave him everything he had, and went to sleep since they had been doing nothing but running away. As an experienced jungle fighter, my father never fully sleeps and always has his ears open. Lest you want the Viet Cong to slit your throat. He swore that he could hear the kids wake up and stir about normally around their camp with pot and pans and hear them talk in distinct southern accents. The next morning he and his buddy woke up and found themselves surrounded by corpses, including the body of the kid he talked to last night. It also seems like they died a while ago, rotting corpses and all. The smell was immediately noticeable. Thinking it was just a Viet Cong night attack, he had no choice but to move onward home. Part 3. Feeling that the North Vietnamese were getting too close, they doubled their pace and travels at night and as light as possible. They tried the main road and found that it was congested with civilians and made a killing field for North Vietnamese artillery. Not to mention the looting and stealing of gold, jewelry, and other crap by other soldiers deserting the front lines. Thus he decides to stay in the jungle roads. He recalled that at around 3 a.m. they happened upon a blind bend on a road in the jungle and crossed it. At that moment, a bus came roaring and stampeding towards them in total darkness like a large shadowy monster, and my father quickly dived out of the way. His buddy was not so lucky and was ran over. He died instantly as the bus chewed up his body under the wheel. While weeping for his friend, my father dragged his mangled body piece by piece to the side of the road. He said that at that moment, the insects silenced, the rustling of the leaves failed, and the moon stopped dead in the sky. Then he heard laughter of children, men, and women echoing, rebounding, and resonating from the jungle mocking him. He fired at the sound with his 1911, emptying it, screaming, "Have I not fought enough for you people? Take me and not him, he's too young. Take me instead, take me." The laughter replied with complete silence. He dug a shallow grave and made a crude tombstone to make a landmark so that one day he may come back and properly lay his friend to rest. In the end, only my father made it back alive. 12 of his comrades died. To this day, he could never find his friend's final resting place.
Few things happened to me out on X. One recently was up in Shoalwater. To the Yanks that have been in the training area, they'll remember the Oban facility. It's a little town over about half a square kilometer made out of Connex and modified shipping containers. Complete with doors, functioning windows, a realistic marketplace, and even a complex sewer system accessed from various buildings and streets around the facility. Water came up to your knees, full of cane toads, snakes, and even a few eels. 2011 Talisman Sabre. Enemy party, playing an enemy SF call sign, chest rig over bomber jacket with baseball cap accessories and all that jazz. Blue Force situation has detected elevated radiation levels coming from sewer. Blue Force mission is to conduct cordon and search of UOTF, Urban Operations Training Facility by night in order to locate possible radiological threat. Night falls. Have a pretty good working relationship with platoon sergeant. He walks up, tasks me with patrolling the sewer. Wants me to cap as many cunts as possible down there and then die in place. I thought we were mates, you dog.exe. Open up trapdoor, climb down the ladder, water just below junk at this stage. Pitch black, no night vision goggles. Sounds of lapping water, toads doing their thing croaking and shit. Wade on rifle up, using Surefire on F88 as a handheld torch. Have a rough idea where I'm going. Reach about the middle of the sewer complex, a big room shaped like a spider's web, connecting tunnels branching off in all directions. Plan was to duck down another tunnel when they start wading through and conduct a fighting withdrawal for a bit before dying. Lean against a wall, switch off light and close eyes for a bit, listening to the water lapping about. Decide to wait for the sound of choppers, they usually chopper insert when raiding the facility. An hour or so passes. Gradually, the noise from toads starts to die off. Water still lapping about though. Movement around my legs. Flick on light. Metric fucking shit ton of cane toads swimming every which way, trying to climb on me. Raise rifle a bit, look ahead. More toads literally climbing and swimming over each other to get away from one particular tunnel. What the fuck? Shine light down tunnel. Light disappears into darkness. More what the fuck? Start to hear soft, ragged breathing from the tunnel. Shut off light, close eyes and open mouth to try and hear better. Ragged breathing continues, definitely not coming from me. Open eyes, switch light back on. Breathing turns into hoarse laughter, like a patient with terminal lung cancer. Laughter increases in volume and ferocity. Hear slushing, as if something is moving down the tunnel. Call out our army's warning we use when breaching with friendlies nearby. Our lads and those that have worked with us will know it. It echoes down the tunnel. Slushing stops. Silence. Toads still milling around my knees. Suddenly hear the voice of my mate repeating the warning back up the tunnel. Exhale a pent-up lungful of air. About to answer back and give him a bit of shit when another voice from a different bloke in the platoon repeats the warning. Then another bloke, same warning. Then a different bloke. Then more, all different people, some I don't recognize. Voices get louder. Start overlapping each other, as if they are singing in an out-of-time choir. Start to get a bit worried now. Voices abruptly stop, as if someone cut the cord. Silence again. No movement around my feet now. Quickly shine light down. No toads. Bring rifle up, shine light down tunnel again. Shape in the light. Sickly wet form stoop down in the tunnel, body is a writhing mass of tendrils with a set of round yellow eyes that kept shift place like a chameleon. Freeze for only a millisecond, blink, not believing this shit. It screams in Sarge's voice.
Die in place.
I bellow in fright, off safe and dump a mag of blanks into nothing but air. About turn and bail down the tunnel I came from. Rapid slushing water behind me. It's fucking chasing me. Panicking, grunting, screaming, falling over trying to wade through the fucking water and all the fucked out cane toads.
Die in place.
Reach the ladder gasping, quickly sling gat and start yelling out to anyone whilst climbing up. The cunt grabs my boots and pulls me down. Slam my head into one of the horizontal rungs. Go under the water. Can't see shit, massive weight pressing down on me, both legs and an arm pinned. Feel repetitive blows around my midsection, like something is trying to punch through the rig. Muffled yells from above the surface. Getting gripped around the throat, can't breathe. Grab clasp knife from my pocket with free hand. Start desperately slashing and stabbing at anything I can. Thrust it into something and can't get it loose. Start to black out, lose grip on my knife. Light from above though the water, think it's heaven. Weight relinquishes and inverts my knees as it bails off me down the tunnel. Surface gasping, suck in as much air as I can. Hear panicked voices and mates yelling down. Sound of rapid moving boots on the ladder. Look up to see my mate grabbing the shoulder of my chest rig, trying to pull me towards the ladder.
Grab the fucking ladder.
Grab on, climb up as fast as I can behind him. Burst through the trapdoor, gag a bit, vomit, someone unslings my gat, sits me down. Chaos going on, headlamps and torches everywhere, bit of yelling, someone tells someone to fetch the medic. Blood pissing from forehead. Soaked through. Clothes and chest rig shredded. Gasping for air. Looking like a fucking spawn kill. Did you guys fucking? Mates chime in.
We heard your voice, bro, heard you yelling. When we came near the drain we heard Sarge tell us to stand down and go to bed.
Came from the sewer man.
Yeah. We opened it up, shone our lights down and saw a shape move in the water, next minute you surfaced. What the fuck, bro?
I take in a few lungfuls of air. Something down there, man. Blank stares. Fucking bunyip, bro. They laugh, call me shit, pick me up, dust me off, and we walk back to our connexes. Walk around for a bit, some people still up and milling around, decide to try to find out what happened. Apparently the Blue 4 attack was called off during the night due to OH&S situation in sewer. Nobody knew I was down there. Tried to find Sarge, to ask him WTF. Politely asked platoon commander where he is. Sarge was tasked at lunchtime with a Jackie run back in Rocky. He's due to return the following morning. Wreck out with an assload of questions and bad feelings. Wake up a few hours later, my clasp knife has been placed right in front of my face on my stretcher, few drops of that stagnant sewer water on the blade. Fuck the sewer at Raspberry Creek.
Dad was in a foreign legion. Based in Djibouti. Their superior takes them for a hike around the Djibouti lake. They stop on a beach and chill, some of them including my old man go bath cause the weather is cooking you alive. One of the guys feel a thing rub against his leg, feels odd as shit. They see sharks in the water. Everyone nope out of that shit. The sharks down there are man-eaters too, not the small sharks that eat small fish.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.